Texts provide rich opportunities to illuminate the connection between ourselves and the world of the text. The world of text provides valuable platforms for authors to develop ideas and theories. Such texts highlight the connections between current society and the settings conveyed in the novel and provide rich opportunities for authors to do so. Dystopic texts act as forewarnings by exploring the diminishment of genuine human experiences. Such texts warn against concerning socio-political frameworks of totalitarian governments and reveal the suppression of human freedoms. By doing so, they also illuminate the importance of democratic freedoms that today's society currently enjoy in some parts of the world. George Orwell's novel 1984 highlights such connections between ourselves and the world of his text through his literary depiction of an imagined, extreme totalitarian government. The text presents a warning as to how these political systems can manipulate power to maintain social dominance and control. Similarly, Ridley Scott's film adapted from the science fiction novel Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, written by Philip K. Dick, illuminates the ways the desire to be human, to enjoy human qualities and freedoms, can be controlled and destroyed. This presentation illustrates how the suppression of the desire for human freedoms in both 1984 by real humans, Winston and Julia, and Blade Runner by several replicant androids offers a warning to current society of the dangers of totalitarian regimes, which were a mid-20th century Europe historical experience and exist now in many parts of the world in different forms. Orwell's novels examine in detail the diminishment of quality human experiences under an imagined totalitarian government modelled on 20th century experiences such as Stalinism and fascism taken to an extreme length, and demonstrates the dire impact on human social interactions and behaviour and the individual. 1984 was influenced by his personal experiences and political beliefs. In Orwell's essay Why I Write, he explains that every line that I have written has been written against totalitarianism and for democratic socialism. 1984 illustrates how totalitarian governments maintain control over civilians via the fictitious nation of Oceania, as Winston reveals his role at the Ministry of Truth, explaining that who controls the past, around the chiasmic party slogan, controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. By controlling what is remembered in history, the party controls the present. Here, Orwell uses a party slogan in a typically dystopic way, illustrating how a slogan can contain disturbing forms of government control. By destroying any forms of historically true information, the party can remake reality, controlling the civilian populace, only allowing information aligning with party ideologies. Orwell emphasizes this by narrating that all history was a palimpsest, scraped clean and reinscribed exactly as often as was necessary, which was an allusion to writing over medieval manuscripts, accentuating diminishment of memory. Similar to Stalin's propaganda, the party restricts information. Simple items of human necessity are banned, whilst media is censored, minimizing human experience and any expression of human freedoms. Winston expresses this lack of freedom, explaining, freedom is the freedom to say that 2 plus 2 make 4, meaning an essential human freedom is access to truth. Orwell warns that if true fact does not matter, only what one is told to believe or what one can be made to believe matters, creating cognitive dissonance. This distortion of truth is accentuated through Orwell's explanation that the party would announce that 2 and 2 made 5, and you would have to believe it. Later, Orwell explains how the party manipulates history to such an extent that there is no longer any independent reality. Winston identifies that history has stopped. Nothing exists except an endless present in which the party is always right. Orwell accentuates the endless extent of power held by the party via the ability to rewrite history through narrative techniques of negative high-modal diction. Orwell also explains that history no longer has any connection with any empirical truth. History can be arranged or changed to suit whatever political and social purpose the party wants. Ridley Scott's film Blade Runner displays how governments and political systems, in this case all-powerful corporation Tyrell Corp, have the power to take absolute control over the individual. In Blade Runner, Tyrell explains to Deckard that commerce is our goal here at Tyrell. More human than human is our motto. Rachel, a replicant, is an experiment, nothing more. This reveals how Tyrell Corp view Rachel as a resemblance of a human, but not treated as human, a monetary object that can be controlled or destroyed at will. Human freedoms are denied to them. 1984 and Blade Runner both contain warnings of the dangers of large institutions, such as governments and corporations, that destroy human freedoms. Ultimately, dystopic institutions like these have the power to diminish human experiences and destroy democratic freedoms, ironically highlighting their importance to us. Dystopic texts also explore marginalization and exploitation of people. Orwell explores the loss of humanity throughout his novel, warning today's society of the dangers of totalitarian governments by the creation of a dystopic world. The novel accentuates the paradoxical and oxymoronic quality of the party slogan, "War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength." This slogan demonstrates how these phrases have been twisted, displaying that the opposite of lived human experience has become true. This creates rational dislocation. Furthermore, Orwell conveys the extreme discrimination of the people under the government of Big Brother, as life is a moment-to-moment struggle against the hunger, cold, or sleeplessness, against sour stomachs or an aching tooth. Society is described with a lexical chain of suffering, illuminating how this text warns against a society where political views can have devastating effects on basic human rights like food and shelter. Later, Orwell portrays the brutal reality of life in Oceania and the acceptance of events that present society would deem outrageous, unacceptable, and horrifying. Winston describes a landscape used to escape the surveillance of the party as almost deserted stretch of country where an atomic bomb had fallen 30 years earlier. Winston's understatement of this brutal reality highlights the horror of the environments they live in. Orwell also displays the dystopic marginalization through the party's ability to alter history. Winston explains that the idea of being completely erased from existence, individuals are placed under a state of constant surveillance, and any negatively perceived actions against the party can end with your removal from society and history. Winston explains that whatever happens, you vanished, and neither you nor your actions were ever heard of again. You were lifted clean out of the stream of history. Orwell illustrates how the party has complete control over an individual through surveillance and a constant sense of second-guessing oneself, who can be trusted and who can't. The loss of humanity is evident throughout the novel as Big Brother strip away Winston's ability to have any freedom, whether this be freedom of thought, action, speech, or freedom from pain. Orwell thus highlights the individual's total marginalization society faces, whilst providing a warning of how an extreme political system can strip individuals of what it means to be human. Scott's film Blade Runner analyzes human experience through the ideas of a replicant which resembles a human but is a machine. As Brian explains replicant ability to Deckard, he says, they, the replicants, might develop their own emotional responses. Scott illuminates ideas that replicants are artificial replications of humans, aiming to gain human experiences. In contrast, 1984 warns of the loss of humanity. Orwell demonstrates such loss of human experience through torture and eventual complete loss of humanity. After his torture in Mini Love, Winston essentially becomes a husk of a human, unable to have free thought or action, completely passive with no control over his consciousness. Both 1984 and Blade Runner illustrate dystopic marginalization through the contrast of human or near-human experience. Big Brother crushes humanity, and Blade Runner explores what human experience might be like. All protagonists fail. Such warnings of dystopic marginalization draw parallels to issues faced in a modern society and remind us of the importance of our freedoms. These texts provide authors with a medium to which they can convey their themes and ideas with reference to human experiences and humanity. 1984 poses a warning to today's society, demonstrating how political ideologies and government systems throughout the text impact both the loss of democratic society, the loss of humanity, and, in Blade Runner, an attempt to gain human experiences.